بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الحمد لله تعالى نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وسلم فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today إخواني وأخواتي في الله is the 6th February, the 16th of February. Did I say that correctly? Sunday, the 16th of February 2020. And today, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we're going to begin the first lecture in a series of lectures dealing with in pursuit of al-ilm, in pursuit of knowledge. And as I'm sure you can all appreciate, that seeking knowledge is a strenuous task. It's a strenuous task, as we're going to cover today, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, the statement of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam that's been attributed to him, إِنَّمَا الْعِلْمُ بِالتَّعَلُّمِ, that indeed knowledge comes as a result of you going out and seeking that knowledge. Knowledge doesn't come to an individual by just merely sitting down and taking things easy or taking life easy. An individual is never going to attain a certain amount of knowledge, a praiseworthy amount of knowledge, except if that person first and foremost purifies the intention and then follows up that intention with some serious action. Now, I don't know how much the brother Fahim, when he comes, is going to go into this topic, so I'm just going to generally speak about knowledge very briefly, and also specifically my experiences seeking knowledge. And as you all know, ikhwani, knowledge, bila shak, to do an action based upon knowledge is something that the Muslims are required to do. Alright? To do an action based upon knowledge is something that the Muslim is required to do. And in many places in the religion, either in the Quran or the Sunnah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wa rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he or they praise and raise the status of al-ilm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions specifically in the Quran that he, tabaraka wa ta'ala, will raise in degree those who have al-iman billahi tabaraka wa ta'ala, and those who have attained knowledge. That isn't a concession that's given to any and anybody. That concession of being raised in status and rank by Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala is given to those people in this ayah, in Surah al-Mujadala, who, man, أصحاب الإيمان وأصحاب العلم. فقال تبارك وتعالى يرفع الله الذين آمنوا منكم, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will يرفع, raise. الذين آمنوا منكم, those who have al-iman, آمنوا from al-iman, minkum from the Muslims, والذين أوتوا العلم درجات, and those who have been given knowledge in levels. Yani Allah will raise them in levels. Not that they've been given knowledge in levels. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will raise those two individuals, or two categories of people, if you like. Another pertinent ayah, ikhwani wa akhawati fillah, wherein Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala links those who have knowledge to him, is the statement of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Shahida Allahu annahu la ilaha illahu, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he testifies that there is no deity worthy of worship in truth except him, wa ulul ilmi qa'iman bil qist, and those who, and the people of knowledge who establish justice, right? They establish justice. Again, ikhwani wa akhawati fillah, you don't have to dig too deep into the Quran to see the status that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given knowledge. If we look at this ayah, Shahid Allahu, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he bears witness that La ilaha illahu, that there is no deity worthy of worship in truth except him. And one of the styles of the Quran, ikhwani wa akhawati fillah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to give a particular subject importance, he mentions that subject connected to something that's jiddan muhim in the religion. Jiddan muhim, yani very important. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to raise the status of a particular thing. He will mention that thing next to, for example, not committing shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or establishing at-tawheed. For example, from the proofs and evidences from the Quran that one must obey one's parents is what? وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ. And your Lord, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ, has decreed أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ, that you worship none except Him. Does anybody that's in this masjid today have any shak about the importance of at-tawheed in all of its aqsam? Al-Rububiyyah wal-Uluhiyyah wal-Asma'i wal-Sifat. Nobody doubts the importance of at-tawheed in the life of the Muslim. Sah? Nobody doubts it. Even if you just became a Muslim yesterday, what you're called to is at-tawheed. It's the first thing that a person learns. But what does Allah say in this ayah? وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ. When your Lord has decreed that you worship none but Him. Who can finish the ayah? وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. And that you be kind and dutiful to who? Al-Walidain. Al-Walidain is another word for parents. طيب. The fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala linked kindness to parents in the same ayah as saying, and your Lord has decreed that you worship none but Him, that goes to show the importance of what? Bir al-Walidain. Being kind and dutiful to one's parents in the religion. And when we look at the ayah that I just read to you, I made a mistake actually. Shahid Allahu annahu la ilaha illahu wal malaikatu. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He testifies that there is no deity worthy of worship in truth except Him. And the angels also do the same. And the people of knowledge. Who? And then He praises them again. Qa'iman bil qist. They establish al-qist, yani justice on the earth. Again, that is a tremendous tazkiyah. A tremendous praise for those people that strive to seek knowledge. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this lecture, it's inconceivable. It's inconceivable to think that anybody is going to attain any type of knowledge. Because everything's relative, right? Everything is relative. You may get somebody that's mutakharrij from the Jamia al-Islamiyah. Somebody that's a graduate from the Islamic University of Medina, right? He got the BAs. But his ilm, in comparison to the ulama, is nothing, right? It's relative. But when he comes back to his home country and he starts to teach the people, his knowledge might seem something. Everything's relative. But when you not that we compare ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but no matter what station a person reaches in knowledge, it's insignificant compared to the knowledge of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. طيب. With that being said, if all of it, we know the importance of knowledge, we know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about knowledge, we know that knowledge comes as a result of going out and seeking the knowledge. And oftentimes when you see somebody, for example, you see somebody give a lecture. For example, Abdul Wahhab, who was here last week for the lecture. I know you were here. You were here, Sheikh? A couple people were here for the lecture, mashallah. Virtually, you were there virtually, alhamdulillah, Jade. So you see the brother Abdul Wahhab giving a lecture, mashallah, he was confident, he knew what he was speaking about, he answered questions off the top of the head, which is difficult to do, because you never know what a question's going to be. You know, sometimes you may know the answer, but it might not be with you at the time. He quoted ayat from the Quran, a hadith from the Sunnah, and he basically gave a fantastic lecture. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him. That's all you've seen of Abdul Wahhab. That's all you guys know. Apart from if you follow his journey, Pentapad Academy, or you've seen a documentary that I've done when he's gone through his stages of learning Arabic. But for somebody like myself now, I've seen that boy grow. I shouldn't say the boy as if he's a little kid. I've seen him grow from a boy into a man. You with me? The 8 years that I was privileged enough to meet and subsequently spend that time in Medina, I saw the change. So I can appreciate the journey more. But for you guys, you just see the ilm, sah? And oftentimes that's all we see. Whenever you see somebody give a lecture, or they give a great khutbah, or he's a good teacher, or whatever the case may be, all you see is the end product. But you don't see the journey. And the journey is what's more important. The journey is what's more important than the end product. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. So what I wanted to do today, Ikhwani, is share 3 stories about myself. Because some of you may know me. Some of you might know me for a couple of years or whatnot. But I don't think anybody really knew me before I started studying knowledge, apart from Abu Sumayya, who just left. He's the only person that I know in this community that knew me before I even probably thought about going to study. And never ever look at somebody and necessarily just envy them. You see somebody giving a lecture, you see somebody that's a graduate, don't envy those, what do they call them, accolades. Don't envy that. Because everybody's journey is different. And you don't know what that person had to go through to be where that person is today. just generally speaking, in terms of having envy for somebody whereby you don't want that hasad to be removed, or sorry, you don't want that ni'mah, that blessing to be removed, and you want to also be blessed with that ni'mah so that you can also carry out good works, that's something that's a permissible type of envy. But don't just necessarily look at somebody, you see somebody's excelling in a particular area and not contemplate and think about what that person had to go through to get where they got through. All right, guys? The first story I want to share, and I want you guys to understand and come on this journey with me. When I decided to go to the Islamic University of al-Madinah, I was obviously at some stage in my life inspired by seeking knowledge. And I don't recall the first person to tell me, but no sooner than later, I jumped on the plane for Umrah and I went and applied. Now, I thought my story was unique, you know. I thought my story was unique because the academic year I applied for, I didn't get accepted that year. So literally I applied, I said, Bismillah, if this is for me, I'm going to go. The names came out. Whose name was on it from the community? Abdul Hakim Fingers. And my name went on it. And I was heartbroken. I was happy for him, but at the same time I was heartbroken because I thought this is really what I wanted to do. The fact that my name was off the list, I could have, made that conscious decision to reapply, but I didn't. I said, khalas, it's not for me. I tried, it's not for me. I'm going to go and teach English. So I got qualified and I moved out to Saudi Arabia to teach. قدر الله وما شاء فعل. And this is Ikhwani as well. Oftentimes, some of the best decisions and some of the best moments of your life will be born out of trauma and heartache. I'm going to say that one more time. Some of the best times and some of the best opportunities for you to become the best version of yourself will be born out of trauma. When trauma comes, instinctively you don't like it. Any type of pain, whether that be physical, mental, spiritual, any type of pain. Naturally the body repels pain, right? If I pinched you, it don't feel nice, you feel uncomfortable. And that's what trauma is like. So when we have a situation that seems somewhat challenging and difficult, instinctively we want to get out of that situation. But I'm sure every single one of us has been in a situation where they've gone through something that seems to be bad, but there was some goodness in the end of it, right? Okay. I told you that I applied for the Islamic University in Medina, but I didn't get accepted. And then I traveled all the way to Saudi Arabia, not as a student, but as a teacher. And I was living a very, very comfortable life. My salary at the time, we're going back over 10 years, it was about maybe £2,500 tax-free. Tax-free. I don't pay no rent and I don't pay no tax. I just buy food. All right? So I lived a very, very comfortable life. So I was there until my wife was pregnant with our second child. I'd already had Maryam. She was pregnant with our second child, Ruqayya. And I left to go to work. And while I was working, I remember like it was yesterday, I was teaching a student privately. And then my phone rang. It was my wife. She was still in the UK. Anybody that's ever had a child with a woman, of course, you know that the 3-month period, that's when they have their first scan, if I'm not mistaken, right? And that 3-month period is a crucial time because oftentimes people don't want to tell anyone they're pregnant after the first scan. I don't know where that comes from, but many women are like that. Anyway, that 3-month scan is really important because the doctors are able to identify if there's any early signs of deformities or anything of that nature, right? And I'm just expecting, and this is the problem with mankind, we expect too much, right? We feel like we're entitled to a healthy child. We feel like we're entitled to good health and a long life. But these things are not something that are given to anybody. But when you get relaxed and complacent, you just expect. So, not in my wildest dreams would I expect to get the call I got that day. So my wife called me up, and I'm like, hey, Assalamu alaikum, you alright? I hear her sobbing, crying. Not too much, but she's upset. So I'm panicking. Did somebody trouble you in the street? What happened? So I said, what's up? She can't really speak. But the time she composed herself, she said that I just come back from the scan, or I'm in the hospital at the moment, and they said there's a 70-30% chance that the baby, at this time we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. You don't know till 5 months, taqreeban. There's a 70-30% chance that the child's going to have Down syndrome. So obviously as a husband and as a father, and somebody that bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, I'm a Muslim and I accept the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my response to her says, it don't matter. It's not going to change how much or how little we love the child. You don't love your child more if they don't have a disability and love the child less if they do. If anything, it's the opposite. If anything, it's the opposite. But it should be the same. But if anything, it's the opposite. So I'm like, okay, I'm trying to be as supportive as I can over the phone. And it's difficult. Because when you're with somebody, you can console them, right? You can say, don't worry, it's going to be okay. You can take them out, take their mind off things. But when you're on the phone, there's only so much you can say. Unless you got the gift of the gab. But all jokes apart, it was a serious issue. So I said, look, it doesn't matter, still come out. So she came out, and we just worked and we made a lot of dua. And fast forward, when it came time to delivering a child, for anybody that's planning to have a baby, if you're in another country and you want to have it in the UK, you better come back before the 7 months. All right? Because after 7 months, the women can't travel and it's a problem. So my boss at the time, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him, he knew how much I wanted to be in Saudi Arabia. I was living good. He said to me, listen, you're about to have a child with special educational needs. You need to go back to the UK. Because my wife was going to go back, but I was just mutaraddid. Should I also go back, or should I keep her in the care of her family and my family? He said, your wife's going to need you. You need to go back. So then I went back. So this time now, I left Saudi Arabia to go back to the UK and live life. Alhamdulillah, my daughter was born with Down syndrome. Alhamdulillah, we dealt with it. We had no choice but to deal with it. Why do I tell you all of this? I tell you all of this to say this. It's plausible, Ikhwani. Remember, I got in 2 years. I just missed out a big chunk of the story. When I was in the UK, I was working. That is when I found out that I was accepted to the Islamic University of Medina. Did I reapply? La, I didn't reapply. I replied one time, and then that was it. I threw in the towel. I gave up. I said that maybe seeking knowledge isn't for me. I went to teach. I was trying to run towards something, but the qadr that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had for me forced me to go back to the UK. Do you understand, guys, what I'm saying? Okay, stay with me. So whilst I'm in the UK, for those of you that don't know, my name's Christopher Beaumont. That's my birth name, the name that my parents gave me. So I'm working in this particular building with some of the brothers, and then another brother came in and said, what's your name? I said, Ismaeel. He said, no. What's your name on your passport? I said, Christopher Beaumont. Why? He said, you just got accepted to the Jamia. I'm like, shut up. Nah, you're joking. He goes, you got accepted to the Islamic University of Medina. I said, come show me. So he took me to his office and I saw my name, Christopher Beaumont. And even at that stage, Ikhwani, I didn't have Ayn al-Yaqeen. I said, there must be another Chris Beaumont. Has to be, not me. Because I didn't apply last year, I applied 2 years ago. I didn't know that it works like that. He said, no, it's you. Coincidentally, around that time, a cousin of my wife, I call him my friend, but he's a cousin of my wife, he went for Umrah. I said, Akhi, please do me a favor, go to the Islamic University and say there's somebody called Christopher Beaumont that's been accepted. See if you can see anything that suggests it's me, an address, passport number, anything. He said, all right, cool. Then later on, I think this was like WhatsApp wasn't around then, it was BB Messenger, BlackBerry Messenger. He messaged and said something like, Akhi, it's you. I said, no, are you sure? He said, Akhi, I saw your mugshot. Because every person that applies, you have to do like a photo thing. And that's when it actually finally sunk in that, wow, this is really happening. And I had to go. I had no choice. I'm in a predicament now. My wife is pregnant with my second child. Sorry, she just gave birth to my second child. We're both young. I was about 24, and my second child's got special educational needs. She was actually born with 2 holes in her heart. She had to go open heart surgery when she was about 3 months old. So can you imagine, guys? I just got married. 2 years later, I've got 2 kids. And now I'm leaving my wife to go and study. How does it look to her parents? Can you just imagine as a parent, as a husband, right? As a father, sorry. We want nothing more for our daughters than for them to marry good brothers that are going to look after them. So it's a package. You have to be a good brother and you have to have the ability to look after. And now I'm just buggering off to Saudi Arabia to seek knowledge. Anyway, that's what happened. And then it was through the journey that I said to myself, Subhanallah wa bihamdi, just imagine if I got accepted to the University of Medina the year I wanted to get accepted. My wife we wouldn't have known about my daughter. Had I been in the university, and as I'm going to share with you with the other 2 stories, there are definitely challenging times. It's not for the faint-hearted. It is not for the faint-hearted. If you don't have a sincere desire to study, you will drop out. As fast as you came, you will leave. And I've seen it with my own eyes, with brothers that are strong students. Strong, memorize Baqarah, memorize Ali Imran. Who in the masjid right now can put up their hand and say they've memorized Surah Al-Baqarah? Who in the masjid can say they've memorized Surah Al-Ali Imran? I know brothers that have memorized these surahs and left for whatever reason. For whatever reason, and I'm not here to judge. But irrespective, it's not an easy place to go. And I said, if I went the year I got accepted and I experienced all this hardship that I'm about to share with you, and then my wife called me one day crying to say, Ismaeel, the doctors are saying X, Y, Z, I would have said, khalas, I'm coming home. And I would have been justified in doing so, because this is my daughter. My wife needs help. But look how Allah decreed it to happen. I didn't get in when I wanted to get in. I went to work, made a bit of money, and then I got accepted. When I was in a situation where my mind was a bit more clearer. You do understand what I'm saying, guys? So, whenever you're faced with trauma, bad news, never ever just automatically assume that khalas, this is just the end for you. It could be the beginning of something special. And as I sit in front of you today, I wouldn't be sitting in front of you today had it not been for my experience in the Islamic University of al-Madinah. That's a fact. I wouldn't be sitting in front of you today if it wasn't for the experience in the Islamic University of Medina. And for that, I'm forever grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But I had to go through that process. That was my journey. I had to go through that process in order for me to be here today. Does that make sense, guys? When I did eventually get accepted to the Islamic University of Medina, I told you that I thought my story was special, right? Because I only applied once and I got accepted 2 years later. I was in class and, you know, one of the beautiful things, and I was telling my son at the academy that we teach on the weekend, I said that one of the beautiful things about going and studying abroad is that you meet so many different people from so many different countries that ordinarily you would have never had the opportunity to meet. You have traveled to seek knowledge in Kuwait, I believe, right? Was there students from all over the world? That the only thing that brought you together was al-Islam and the love, not only al-Islam, but al-Islam and the love for seeking knowledge. Because there are other people that are Muslims that didn't meet the people that you met. That knowledge brought you together. So when you find something, ikhwani in life, a commonality between you and other people that bring you together, you have to respect that thing. Because that is the only thing that brought you together. Abdul Rahim from Southwest London, right? I'm from Southeast London. Not too far apart. Catford, Lewisham sides. Where are you from? Peckham? Brixton? Okay. Half an hour drive at most between us. But I would never know Abdul Rahim, and Allah knows best, except through al-Islam. So I have to respect the bond that joins us. Same with husband and wife. When a man reverts, he becomes a Muslim. He was a non-Muslim, he becomes a Muslim. And then he marries a born Muslim. The only thing that allowed them to get married was his faith. Because other than that, Muslim woman isn't allowed to marry a non-Muslim man. For him, Tom? Make sense, guys? So the only thing that brought them together is al-Islam. That brother has to respect that thing that brought them together. That's just my opinion. All right? That's my opinion. Anyway, so you know, you're meeting so many different brothers from all over the world and also different ages as well. Like I was 25 at the time. I was on the threshold of getting accepted. The cutoff age is 25. That's what they say. After 25, khalas. Your chances of studying in the Islamic University of Medina are over. That's not entirely true because I met brothers that were way older, 40, 35, that got accepted when I got accepted. They look at other factors. Are you from a minority? Is there not many Muslims in your country? Maybe in accepting this 40-year-old person, right? Maybe in accepting this 40-year-old, it will cause people to accept Islam. They will consider stuff like that. So I'm in class now, and there was a brother, I forget which country he's from, but I can remember his face if I close my eyes. One day we got chatting, and in my broken Arabic, I'm trying to explain to him that, you know, my fantastic story about Idris Habibi, Idris, my fantastic story about how I applied once and I got accepted 2 years later. He said, I applied 10 years ago and I just got accepted. So that my story pales in comparison to his, you know. I'm there thinking I'm special because I applied 2 years before, he applied 10 years before. And I was like, khalas, tayyib, ala ra'si wal ayn, you beat me, you know. But anyway, let me quickly, because the brother, mashallah, he's arrived, I'm going to tell you 3 stories. And they're quite embarrassing stories, but, you know, if you benefit from a story, and if it's going to cause you guys to benefit, then it's not really embarrassing, right? It's educational. because there's an element of learning. The first one is when I finished the 2 years in the Arabic Institute. All right, it was rigorous, stressful, proper stressful. But alhamdulillah, by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, I managed to complete in two academic years, that is. And then after you finish after you finish the Arabic Institute, just as you're graduating, or just like when you're in Mustawa al-Rabi', the fourth Mustawa, the final level, you have to take a maqabala. All right, maqabala is an interview with a representative from the faculty that you want to study in. If I'm not mistaken, there's 5 faculties in the actual university. You got Kulliyatul Quran, the faculty of Quran, Al-Hadith, the faculty of Hadith, which I subsequently went to, the faculty of the Arabic language, the faculty of Da'wah, and the faculty of Ash-Sharia. Those 5. So when you get to the last level in the Arabic Institute, everyone's saying which faculty you go into and stuff like that. I'm sure I was mutaraddid, I was a bit hesitant on which faculty to go to, but needless to say, I chose Kulliya al-Hadith. That's what I chose. And it is said, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, that it's the most difficult faculty out of the whole Jami'ah by none other than the sheer amount of information you have to memorize. Alright? Every single Kulliya takes subjects that the other Kulliya takes, except that the Kulliya that you go to will focus more on that field. So I went Kulliyat al-Hadith. We still did Tawheed, which they focus on in Da'wah. We still did Fiqh, which they focus on in Ash-Sharia. We still did Usul al-Fiqh, which they focus on in Ash-Sharia, but we only done it for 1 semester. 1 semester. They did it for 8 semesters. We did it for 1 semester. We focus on Hadith for 8 semesters. They might only do it for 1 semester. So they might have a little general knowledge about this topic, but they might be very well versed in their field. Same with us. Well, that's supposed to be the situation. So when I finished the Arabic Institute, in my humble opinion, it didn't really give you the tools to be ready for Kulliyah. Not at all, by no stretch of the imagination. Didn't give you the tools. You're okay, but you didn't have what you needed to have. Because by the time you get to the Kulliyah, the teacher might come in without no book. He might have his own handwritten notes and he's just reading from his notes, and you're like, well, what am I supposed to? Am I supposed to write? Or I don't know what to do. I can't even write. I'm struggling to understand what you're saying, much less have the ability to write what you're saying. Or if they give you what they call a mudhakkira. A mudhakkira is like, it could be like a summarized version of the topic. It could be in the form of question and answers. There's various ways that the mudhakkira can present itself, but needless to say, you might get a mudhakkira for a particular subject. Alright, so let's say for example in Kulliyat al-Hadith, we're studying Usul al-Fiqh. You get a mudhakkira, which is a couple of pages, it could be a lot of pages, but in your own time now you can read. If the teacher does not give you a book to study from, for example, we're going to be studying book Keda wa Keda, then what are you supposed to do? All you've got to rely on is what? This mudhakkira, if it's available, and whatever you can manage to benefit when the teacher's talking. I didn't have the tools to write and listen at the same time. It was something that we just weren't taught in the Islamic, in the Ma'had, in Arabic Institute. So when my first couple years in the Kulliyah, when I graduated from the institute, it was horrible. It was horrible. I didn't understand much. I couldn't write anything. When it came time to revise, I didn't have nothing to revise because I had nothing written down. And if the teacher didn't give us a book to go back to where I can spend my time reading, translating words if I need to, then I was stuffed. So one day, it was actually for Usul al-Fiqh. And Ikhwani, Usul al-Fiqh is a difficult subject to study even in English. It's not an easy subject to study, much less studying in Arabic. So I was one of those students in my early days that would always sit at the front of the class. So I sit at the front of the class and I'm trying my best to get it. So then the teacher says a word. He says, in Arabic, of course, who knows the meaning? Man ya'arif ma'na, and he mentioned a particular word. هذه الكلمة. Who knows the meaning of this word? And I didn't. And the kind of person that I am, especially in the learning environment, is if I don't know, I'm going to put my hand up and I'm going to say, I don't understand. I don't care if everyone understands, and I'm going to slow the class down. I came to learn, right? So I put up my hand and says, Ya Shaykh, أنا ما فهمت هذه الكلمة. That's what I said. He asked the question, and I think I was the only one that said it. And he was like, هكذا. And I'm like, هكذا. Like, yeah, it's like this. This is what I'm basically this is what I'm speaking about. And then he started to cuss me. Imagine I'm at the front row, just in 2 years into my studies, thinking that I'm doing a good thing because he asked the question, and then he started rinsing me in front of the whole class, and I couldn't understand this dynamic. In my head, something was wrong with this picture, because in the UK, if a teacher asks a question, who don't understand, and you say I don't understand, the teacher explains. They don't end up cussing you, and he says you have to start hanging around with the Arabs, and you stop hanging around. I think he thought I was American. He said لا تصاحب الأمريكيين والبريطانيين. I'm like, whoa, all of this just because I said I don't understand. You know, depending on what type of a learner you are, that could shatter your confidence in never ever putting up your hand again. So I was fuming, like inside, burning, but I just remained silent. So then after the lesson had finished, I went up to the teacher because I had an issue with how he dealt with me, but I'm still going to respect his position. So I said to him, "Ya Sheikh," I don't remember the exact words I said, but I said words to the effect, you know, what was it that possessed you to think that I don't try to speak Arabic at home, and I'm always hanging around with foreign people, and I don't hang around with Arabs just because I said I don't understand? You know what he said to me, Ya Ikhwani? He said, الآن أعتقد أنك تفهم 80%. I was like, major fail. He said, now, he didn't answer my question. I asked him a question. Why do you think that I do all of these things that you accuse me of just because I said I don't understand this particular word? He said, now I think you understand 80% of what I say. I was like, la ilaha illallah. I came to ask you a question. You're still judging how much you think I understand. So then we started speaking. We understood each other. You want to know how that conversation ended when he found out I was from Britain? He said, ممكن تعلم ابني الإنجليزية? He said, would you teach my son English? I said, no, I'm busy. And I walked away. I wasn't busy. I needed money. I walked away just on the principle of it. You know, that was one embarrassing story that I personally, you know, that one wasn't embarrassing. It was more hurtful. It was more hurtful. Akh Fahim, when you're ready, Akhi, when you're ready. The second embarrassing story was when I got to the Islamic University of al-Madinah. You make new friends, right? أعطيني 5 دقائق أخي 5 دقائق. I tried to make new friends, right? So I ended up meeting a brother from Cardiff. And we're walking together one day, and I was so frustrated in pursuit of knowledge that whenever I'd go to the Arabic Institute, I couldn't understand maybe 60% of what the teacher's saying. It's horrible if anyone sat in a class and you don't understand what's going on. So I made the decision, had that firm resolve that from now on, said to my friends, from now on, Ikhwani, I'm only going to speak in Arabic. I don't care if you understand or not, if I make mistakes, I'm only going to speak in Arabic. That's like, طيب. So one day this brother from Cardiff, he asked me in English, Akhi, how did you become a Muslim? So remember, I'm only like a year and a half in, maybe a year into my talib. So I proceed to tell him my story in broken Arabic of how I became a Muslim. So I'm like, أبي أسلم قبلي ثم كان يدعوني إلى الإسلام ثم أنا أسلم أسلم. I was speaking all like that, إخواني. Proper. For the people that understand Arabic, broken. I was putting in the work. But I can imagine it was painful for the person that was listening. So he got fed up and he was like, Akhi man, just say it in English. And my heart was broken. My heart was broken because when something means something to you and somebody disregards the effort that you put in, it's hurtful. It's hurtful. I remember one time, the brother that's going to be doing the lecture next week, I was speaking to him on MSN. And again, I'm trying to do the Arabic thing, type in the Arabic. So I typed 2 verbs back to back. Maybe I said something like, ذهب خرج. I don't know what I said, but I said something like that you shouldn't say. He started laughing at me. I'm like, I took it personally. I said, Akhi, what are you laughing at? I literally said, Akhi, what are you laughing at? And I was like dead straight faced when I said it, when I typed it. Because I was hurt. It's hurting my feelings. Because the Arabic language means something to me. And he was like, you can't put 2 verbs together. I didn't even know what a verb was. And I'm like, a verb? What's a verb? Like, it was like way over my head. Again, to me, that was some type of, it's a minor trauma, but it was some type of trauma, needless to say. I'm going to end on the last story, Ikhwani. And again, all of these things that I'm telling you, right? All of these things that I'm telling you led me to where I am today, to where I'm able to teach Arabic in the masjid, where I'm able to have an online institute where I make money selling courses out of Arabic, where I've been afforded the opportunity to travel to other communities to teach Arabic. I could have been somebody that, when I experienced those setbacks and those traumas, trying to get on the gram. I could have given up. But we need to understand that sometimes going through trauma, going through a hard time can be the best thing that ever happens to you if you perceive it in the right way, if you digest it in the right way. Pain doesn't always necessarily mean a bad thing. Pain can just come for you to reshape and to configure yourself again, Ikhwani. And I hope that makes sense. The last story. I was, in the early stages of my talib, I was somebody that I don't know if any of you guys are into recording, but I've got, to this day, I've still got it. It's called a Zoom 4N recorder, something like that. It's one of these big things that I've got two mics that cross over like this. Like you take it out, it just looks something from the future. And anytime back in the day, the students would record a lesson, they might have something that looks a bit similar to this size, small little thing, right? They just put on the desk. Me, I come with this big thing with a big orange face and two mics. Like you take it out, put it on the desk, the sheikh's like, it doesn't look like the standard recorder. So I was like, no, I need to, because my listening skills were weak. And this is what you have to understand when you're learning a language, guys. There are different skills that you have to cater for. You've got your listening skills, which is important. You've got your reading skills, which is important. You've got your speaking skills, which is important. And there's one more that I've forgot. Did I say reading already? Reading, speaking, listening, and writing. They're the 4 core skills that you have to make sure that you simultaneously work on. All right? So anyway, I put it there. And the whole idea in my head was record, listen, and whatever you don't pick up, go home, listen, and then catch up. Because my listening skills were weak. So one day, I got so complacent with this piece of technology. Put it on the desk, and I'm recording. And it was for Nahu. Imagine that. It was for Nahu. A subject that I would like to think that I know a little bit about. Because I teach it. So I says, I'm recording now, and I don't think I was doodling. I think I was just doing something else rather than what I should have been doing. But the teacher asked a question, and I heard it. I was like in the back of my head somewhere. And I'm continuing what I'm doing, and all I hear is, enter. And I looked up, and my world froze. I just saw the sheikh like this. It was just me and the sheikh in the room at that point. Everyone else vanished. And I was like, huh? And then he's like, ma huwa al-jawab? What's the answer? And I'm like, ma huwa al-su'al? What was the question? So he repeated the question to me. And it was grammar. Guys, you have to pay attention. You know what you have to pay attention when we're dealing with grammar. You blink, you might miss a beat. All right? So I was like, لا أدري. He's like, أغلق هذا. He says, close this. يعني, turn this off. فلا فائدة لها. There's no benefit in it. And my heart was broken because this was my get out of jail free card, like whatever I missed, I'm gonna go home. He made me stand up and turn it off. And I was heartbroken. Again, Ikhwani, I could have let that experience say, you know what, forget this. I've been disrespected far too many times on this pursuit of knowledge. I'm going home. I'm going back to my family. I'm going back to what I know, But I didn't. Walillah alhamdu was shukr. And again, Ikhwani, understanding that an embarrassing situation, trauma, doesn't necessarily have to be the end. Ikhwani. You see somebody, you're going to see Akh Fahim, mashallah, tabarakallah, he's got the cream phobe and the white shamar with the brown trim. And then mashallah, he's going to give you some ayat and he's going to give you some ahadith. This is all you're seeing. But just like I've got a journey and I shared 3 stories with you today, I could go on for days and days and days and days and days. He's also got a journey. He didn't just come up one day with the cream phobe and the brown chip. He didn't come like that. It takes years to be able to wear that shamar. It takes years to actually put that shamar on to say, yeah, okay, I feel comfortable with that shamar on. He's got a journey, So whenever you see anybody, Ikhwani, Ka'ina man can, whoever it is, that has dedicated time out of their life, away from their family, away from those things that they find comfortable, to go and seek knowledge, you have to respect the talab. You might not necessarily respect the person or agree with what they say and opinions, but respect the talab because it's not easy. It's not easy. And with that being said, I'm going to leave you with Akh Fahim, who's going to, inshallah ta'ala, speak about today's topic. Barakallahu feekum for listening attentively. I didn't think I was going to speak for so long, Ikhwani, so I do apologize. But hope you guys benefit. Barakallahu feek. Assalamu alaikum.
بارك الله فيك. هذا ابن هذا فعلك مسمى زكريا. سلم عليكم زكريا. سلم تذكرني من بهم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Can you hear me? بارك الله فيكم. طيب إن الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه وصلوات الله وسلامه على نبينا الأمين.